Backup. Max, do you think Carson will ever be a quality starter again?
No, I don't. And the shame of it is I saw this coming in slow motion and tried to warn everyone the entire time. He's going in the wrong direction at the end of last year. No, he's an MVP candidate. No, he's playing poorly against awful teams and getting a little lucky. Oh, but look at that throw. Yes, he can make one amazing throw a game and two or three other okay ones, and every other play is either a bad decision or poor execution. No, he's so great. So because of all that, a guy who had disproportionate influence in the organization to begin with, versus a coach who can't choose his own staffing and apparently can't get Carson Wentz to play the way he wants him to, no matter what the point of emphasis is during the week, right? Carson Wentz makes the same mistakes again and again and then says things like, well, this is just the way we do things around here. I saw it all coming. And now what happened is this. I told you when they drafted Hurts in the second round, you don't draft a quarterback in the second round when you need a receiver, when you could use some help on defense. You don't draft a quarterback in the second round for depth at quarterback just kind of in an abstract way. To run a wildcat. That's not why you do it. You draft a quarterback in the second round instead of getting DeAndre Hopkins or CeeDee Lamb in trades. You do that, or in the draft, you do that because you need an insurance policy in case your franchise quarterback continues to regress. He has. And now it's too late. I told you to bench him 5 weeks ago, right? To hold him accountable to the team, to start correcting things. No one wanted to do it. It's too late. It's now too late. Forget Wentz. This is what's going on now. You sit Wentz for the rest of the year because you must find out if the guy that Nick Saban liked and that Lincoln Riley liked in college, if the guy that your GM liked enough to draft in the second round as a quarterback, if that guy can be your franchise quarterback. Because if he can, you don't have to you spend one of the best picks in the draft, based on the Eagles' terrible record this year, on a quarterback. But if he can't, you do, and they will. They'll draft a quarterback in this year's draft. They have to find out about Jalen Hurts rest of this year. I don't think Carson Wentz is ever going to be a really good starter again.
I disagree. I think Carson Wentz has been god-awful. So much so, there's an upside. Can't get much worse. Ain't nowhere to go but up. And I believe that age 27, scheduled to turn 28 years of age December 30th, if I remember correctly, I believe this guy can be fixed. It's one thing if you never had the talent. It's one thing if you just never was able to shine, particularly in any kind of big moments or anything like that. That's not what we're saying about Carson Wentz. What we're lamenting is the precipitous drop-off that we have witnessed take place before our very eyes. How the hell did this happen? That's what we're looking at with Carson Wentz. If we never saw it, Max, I would agree with you. But we have seen it before. So the question is, could you possibly see it again? I don't believe for 1 second he's finished. Now, let's dissect what some of the things that you said, Max, over the last several weeks. You talked about Howie Roseman and who he drafted. You talked about Doug Peterson. We obviously lamented the fact that he hasn't run the football, hasn't given it to Miles Sanders, Boston Scott enough, even though they both run the football very effectively for the Philadelphia Eagles. Your deep threat, Deshaun Jackson, has only played a handful of games since he arrived back in Philadelphia because he got hurt in game 2 last year and has been hurt this season, obviously. So that was a problem. Zach Ertz went down and he was out for a few weeks with his high ankle sprain. Although he's back, he's not himself. So when I look at the Philadelphia Eagles from the tight end spot with Goddard and Ertz, I like what I'm seeing there. Jalen Reagor's got some promise. We know they can run the football. So it really comes down to your offensive line protecting Carson Wentz better and fixing Carson Wentz more directly. I don't believe for 1 second, based on what I've seen in his career, that what we're seeing from him this season is the final product. I don't believe, Carson Wentz is finished, he's done, he won't be a starter in the National Football League anymore, he's done, he's toast, he just choked or whatever. You did point out the fact that he has seemed gimpy, he hasn't seemed like himself, he never seemed to fully recover from those injuries, etc., etc. Well, guess what? Next season we might not be saying that. And since they can't cut him, because he'd count a $59 million against them with dead money, because so because of that reality, the bottom line is he's going to be back next year. It's not until after next year that you can get rid of him. I think Carson Wentz comes back next year. I think that this has humbled him. I think that since he played like straight trash, straight garbage, that there's nowhere to go but up. I think he's finished for this season. But I'm not giving up on him. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 next year. I'm not giving up on Carson Wentz yet. Let's see what he's got next year.
First of all, the offensive line. Look, everyone's been exaggerating this. Not only did they block for the run really, really well.
They did.
Really well, like one of the best in the league. Yeah. But their win rate in pass protection was top 12 last I checked. So that's almost the top
12.
third. But even saying that's not a
perfect
perfect stat.
Yes.
Right, it was 12th. So,
yeah.
Right, so even if that's not a perfect stat and you say it's really not that good, it's like league average. It ain't worse than league average. I don't want to hear about the offensive line with Carson Wentz. That's an excuse. He holds the ball too long. As I've mentioned, his internal clock is shot. He does not see the field well. He doesn't trust what he does see. His mechanics are no good. You know, he doesn't move the same, right? Like, everything is wrong with him. And the fixable stuff, I brought this up. When members of the local press do not, it's not quite a puff piece, but it's like, hey, Eagles fans, in the locker room, maybe they prefer Nick Foles. This is the reason. Wentz is a good guy, works hard, very tough. He wants to lead, but he hasn't really figured that out yet. And it's that gentle. And those media members are at least the Eagles try to silence them. Then the point that Wentz has too much power in the organization is made, right? Like, why are you trying to silence the critics like that? Because Wentz has too much power in the organization. And it killed him. It's like, you spoiled him in a way, and he is spoiled now. I believe that. I think that when you say, could he ever start again, could he be a Jay Cutler? Could he be a guy whose talent jumps out at you, and so he's given extra chances down the road? That a team, I brought up the Bears a bunch because I thought maybe the Bears would take Carson Wentz, right? And you could get Nick Foles for him. At least the contract's not that bad. Yeah, he could wind up in a situation like that, but that's my point, Stephen A. From a guy who looked like, to me, he was destined to be an elite quarterback, at best, I see a Jay Cutler type of career, at best. So what's that? What is
and
that?
What kind of career was that?
You think you're going to win a Super Bowl?
And what
kind
of career was that?
I don't.
I mean, you looked at Jay Cutler and got depressed. You looked at him and got depressed because Jay Cutler looked depressed all the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he just looked depressed. Just walked up to the podium. I'm just here to throw the football. I mean, I'm just doing what I'm doing. I mean, that's Jay Cutler.
But why do you keep getting chances?
Listen, I don't view Carson Wentz that way. I think that Carson Wentz, like you said, okay, maybe he was spoiled, but I definitely think he's been humbled. There's no question about that. A benching will humble you. Poor, pathetic play will humble you. And
I don't
doing
know,
both,
Stephen A.
And doing both,
you think
having
so?
both happen to you in Philadelphia is humbling. I don't believe we'll see this Carson Wentz
I'll
next
tell
year.
you what.
I don't believe it.
Maybe he'll be that's speculation. You're speculating. I think Carson Wentz will be humbled. That's not what I saw when they asked him about it point blank. He had a kind of a bratty reaction to it. It wasn't like, here is what a stand-up face of the franchise, responsible professional quarterback says, mature, right? Who is humbled. My play dictated this. I got to be better. I let the team down, but I'm going to be better. I'm going to work on this. I got the message, and